What's going on, guys? Thanks for checking out the video. I'm installing today some Radium engineering catch cans. I'm gonna go ahead and open this up, show you what's inside the box. Okay, we have our brackets, our mounting bracket for the catch cans. We have all of our hoses. And some instructions, some stickers, some fittings, and the actual catch cans themselves. The reason I went with the Radium catch cans instead of an AOS system is catch cans seem to work better. And they're a little bit more maintenance, but I prefer these. My tuner also recommended these and said that Radium's a great brand to go with, so that's what I went with here. So with the AOS, what I was fearful of is when you eventually upgrade your turbo, which I'm planning on doing sometime maybe this year. If I would have went with the AOS street system, I would have had to upgrade it. I would have had to take the street system and I would have had to opt out and go with a performance AOS system. So with an aftermarket turbo, you can blow out the seals in the street system, so you should upgrade to the performance system. And the performance system vents the atmosphere and requires a tune. So at some point, I would have had to change it out. If I would have got the performance system now, I would have had to get retuned for it and then retuned again later on when I get the method injection, bigger turbo and all that stuff. So I didn't want to go that route. And these are the perfect answer. There's no tune required, and these will hold up to the aftermarket turbo. So that's what I went with. So before we get too far, I wanted to show you the baffling inside of the catch can system. So here is basically the bottom can. It'll be sitting in the car like this, and there is your can. You can see the baffling in there to help with the oil capture, and here's some baffling in there as well to help collect oil. The beautiful thing is this here is a dipstick. So with the catch can, you're gonna have to drain it probably about every oil change. And it comes with this dipstick. It's on there really tight, but anyways, you can unscrew that and pull it out and see your oil level. But you can pull that off, pull the dipstick out and check it. And so there it is. The reason I'm making this video is there's not a whole lot of content on this online at all. I cannot find any install videos on a Radium catch can at this time of me making this video. So I'm going to follow Radium's instructions step by step and just show you what to do. So first thing I'm gonna do is I'm actually going to attach these catch cans to this bracket. You can see the hose line up there. It comes with the supplied hardware. I'm going to attach both catch cans to both these brackets, and then we'll start removing the stuff that we need to remove. Okay guys, so here's what the catch cans are gonna look like mounted to the bracket. Now where the bracket's gonna go, there's this threaded stud coming out from your strut tower there at the ABS line, and you're also gonna have this bolt here next to your intake box. Whether you have a stock intake or an aftermarket intake, there's gonna be a bolt there. This will work with a stock intake. This actually appears to work with my Mishimoto intake. Just check, you might have to modify your intake box a little bit, but in this case, it doesn't look like I'm gonna have to. So you go to put this bracket in, you're gonna slide this piece down over that stud, and then this piece here is going to go down and bolt to where your intake box is bolted in. And that is actually gonna fit in there just fine. I'm not gonna have to modify anything, which is beautiful. So that is where they're gonna sit, if you can see that. So you're gonna have a supplied locking nut to go on this stud here, and I went ahead and removed this bolt. So what we're gonna do now is we're going to put this bracket into place carefully. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna put a washer on here, and then we're gonna put our locking nut on there. We'll tighten that down, and then we're gonna put our bolt back in through the intake box. It's gonna be a little bit tricky to get to now with the catch can in the way, but we can do it. So I got the bolt tightened back down. I just had a 10mm socket and an extension coming out here to a ratchet, and then here 13mm. Tighten that bolt down, and we have them installed. They're not going anywhere. That's a nice secure bracket. Here's where the fun begins. So I actually just installed this pairing cover last night to see how it looks, and so I have to take this off. Have to take the intercooler off, and we have to take off our shield here. The cold air duct is basically just two little clips here, pop them out and remove that. And then your stock engine cover is just 4 clips if you're still on the stock engine cover. Obviously my Perrin one I have 4 screws to take out and that'll come out. Then we're gonna take out our intercooler, which is gonna be a little fun because this thing is just such a tight fit getting in and out. But we have a bolt there, and we have a bolt on this side, and then we have our 2 couplers. Remove all that, take the intercooler out. So now what we're gonna do, we have to remove this hose here. So this hose that goes down into your motor and then comes up and goes into the intake manifold, we are going to have to remove that. So you can see right there where my middle finger is, where it's clamped onto the manifold, comes down, and right here where my pointer finger is the bung on the actual engine itself. We're gonna remove this hose. If this is any indication as to why you need this catch can, that nipple for the intake manifold already has oil in it. This car has 3,000 miles on it, and there's oil already building up just in the nipple here going into the intake manifold. So you know you're sucking oil back into the intake track and burning it. You find your 1/2 inch hose, which is labeled for you beautifully right there so you know which is which. You're gonna measure, this was all one long hose here, this piece and this piece. You're gonna measure it out to 29 inches and you're gonna make a cut. I used a nice new razor blade, cut through it like butter. Once you have a piece of your hose cut to 29 inches, what you're gonna do is slide that piece onto the nipple for the intake manifold. As you can see right there, it is. And now we're gonna slide our clamp on. So there's that one. Now you're going to route this hose however you like, really. But for me, I'm gonna go the most stealth route I can, and I'm gonna tuck it up underneath everything and bring it up to your catch can. So now to connect this hose to the catch can, we're going to install our fitting here. Make sure to lube up the O-ring with something before you screw this in. This is an AN fitting, so you do not need any thread sealant or anything, but what I'm going to do is take some oil, just some compressor oil, put a little bit on this ring, and then we'll screw this in here and get ready for our next fitting. With this kit, you're going to actually get 2 90-degree AN fittings with a barbed end, and you're going to want to use the larger of the 2 here, and we will screw that on. Okay, and so what you want to do now is just cut the hose to the exact length. You don't want to like push the hose down and have a bunch extra. So they call for 29 inches just to make sure you have enough to reach, because each vehicle is going to be a little bit different. But you can go ahead and cut this so that it fits perfectly. And then what you're going to do is just take a little bit of oil, lube up these barbs, push the hose on, and tighten everything up. Okay, once that's done, we're going to need to find our 3/8 hose. You're going to take the entire length of the hose, run it underneath your charge pipe, and it's going to get connected to the nipple down there on your crankcase. And you're going to take one of the supplied clamps here, you're going to slide it over. We'll go ahead and slide that down there. You can see it's going to go right on there. So we're going to kind of bend it up a little bit, slide that down on, and get it nice and snug. Make sure it's down the whole way. It is. Now we're going to take our clamp, slide that down, and then we will get a pliers and we will tighten that clamp on there. Okay, so in the last clip I lied. It does not come with a new hose clamp for that hose, so you're going to have to reuse your factory clamp. What we're going to do now is we're going to hold on to the fitting here and use an Allen key to tighten this down. If you have an older system, it works a little bit differently. Sorry, we're gonna have this facing out this way a little bit, sort of. I know the dipstick's here but we are going to sort of have it facing this way. And then what we're going to do after we tighten this down, we're going to take our 90-degree fitting like so, put that on, and after that fitting is on, we're going to cut this hose and stick that hose onto that fitting. So once you're done, it should look like this. We have our banjo bolt here on the top with our AN fitting going to the hose. Now the hose, I didn't have to cut off much extra. Where did I put it? Here's basically what I cut off of the hose. Not that much extra hose lay around. Something to note, this will actually still move no matter how tight you get this bolt. So you may have noticed I titled the video 15 plus, and that's because this is going to be exactly the same whether you have a 15 all the way up to a 2021. I'm making this video at the end of 2020 currently, so not sure if the body style is going to change soon or when it's actually going to happen. But as of now, 15 and up is going to be the back section. Where it's going to differ is the front section. So the front section, I'm reading through the instructions, and the front section is going to be different. When I installed the Mishimoto catch cans on my 15 WRX, I had to remove the AC compressor. Now it's going to be the exact same way to install this catch can on your 15 or 16 WRX. What you're going to end up doing is removing this bracket. You're going to use a 14 millimeter to relieve tension on this pulley, memorize where your belt goes, or draw a diagram, take a picture, take your belt off. Then you're going to remove your bolts that hold your AC compressor on, remove it, and there is going to be a port down there that you will tap into. However, on the 2020s, you cannot use that port no longer. So the way we're going to do this now is going to be for 17 and up WRX. So if you have a 2015 or a 2016, it is going to be a little bit different here. So this is mostly, the front half is going to be for a 17 and up WRX because it is slightly different. So what we're going to do here, first step, I think this is actually easier anyway. However, I will leave the link in the description. So if you do buy these, the instruction manual is there for you. And then if you have a 15, you can get exact instructions on what to do there. It's pretty simple as well. But here what we're going to do is remove the top bolts here on the radiator fan, and we're going to unplug it and lift it up out of the vehicle. Okay, so your 17 up WRX is now going to have this white clip down here. The reason we removed the radiator fan is to have better access to this, which is actually nice because usually when you mess with this, you have to be on the bottom of the car. But so, anyways, this white clip down here, you're gonna see this is a hose that runs the whole way up and connects to your inlet port on your turbo. You can actually just pop that right off. You can see the hole where it came out from right there. And here it is. There's this electrical connection right here. You want to make sure to unplug that, and then we will bring this hose up. Okay, and in order to bring this hose up and out of the car, there's going to be a very small clip. See right above the Boomba there, you can sort of see a clip. I'll go down and touch it so you can see right there where my finger is. There's this little C clip there, and that holds the hose in. So you're just going to kind of pull this out, and the hose will come out. Once you have the hose up, you're going to have to remove this clamp here, and you're going to take this very carefully, remove this clamp, take this white piece off. So I should have filmed this before I did it, and I don't know what I was thinking because these can be a little tricky. I just want to show you how to undo these. Basically, it works the same as like an axle clamp or something like that. Basically, there's a tool when they put this on that stretches this over and connects it. So what I did was I kind of took a vice grip, a rounded vice grip, and used it to compress. And what I did was I pinched on it just a little bit to compress it. And what it does is move this little tab right here past the gripping point, and then I take my tack puller and just sort of twist. I put it in there and twist a little bit, and it lifts up out of there. So now we can take and bend this and take this off. And now we can carefully remove this and separate this. Now see if we can pull it off any easier. There it is. So now we're just going to install this back in like that. So here's our electrical connection. We're going to plug that back in. Be careful not to mess up the fins on your radiator. I actually Accidentally kind of caught them a little bit. All right, that clipped back in. Now we're going to sit this back on. Clip that back on. All right, once you have that clipped back on, you can take your factory hose, make sure it stays about in the right location, make sure there's no kinks. This one you don't have to cut if you don't want to, but what we're gonna do is we're gonna put the top banjo bolt on, and then we are going to take our fitting here, we're gonna put that fitting on, and then we are going to slide the hose over that fitting. You don't really need oil on this one, it's gonna slide over just fine. And then we're gonna take our clip there, and we are going to, that is a clip from the kit, we're gonna slide that clip up, clamp it down, and we should be good to go, and you'll see what that looks like in a minute. But before I do that, I also want to go ahead and put the next AN fitting in there. That way, when I go to run the next hose, I don't have to worry about working around this hose to get to that. I should be okay, but I'm going to do it anyway. Now you're going to take your 5/8 hose, your largest hose here, and what you're going to do is take your large hose clamp that's included with the kit, slide it onto the end. This end will go down. Remember that white piece down there that you can vaguely see? That there is what we are going to plug this hose into, and then we're going to slide the clamp down over that. So that plastic piece that we took out, we're going to slide this over it, clamp it down, and then we are going to route this over and plug it into our new fitting. The Radium catch can install is complete. All that's left to do is put everything back together. Now what I would advise doing, just go over, make sure there's no kinks in any of your hoses, make sure all your hose clamps are tight, everything is where it's supposed to be, double check that everything is tight, all the clamps are on, and just make sure nothing is going anywhere. And once you have done that, you can put everything back together. The catch cans are installed. I'm super tired. It took me roughly 3 hours with making the video, so not terrible. I thought it'd be done a little bit sooner, but obviously some of the worst of it was obviously just making the video, and putting the intercooler back in is never fun, trying to get it connected to the stock pipe. I eventually want to get a Grimmspeed charge pipe so I don't have to keep dealing with this every time I pull that in and out. If you were wondering how to drain the catch can, you don't have to take any of the hoses off, you don't have to do anything. All you have to do, undo both bolts that hold the bracket in place, lift the whole bracket assembly up, and then you can unscrew the can, dump the can out, put it back in, so you don't have to disconnect any of the hoses or anything crazy like that. Hopefully you found this video helpful if you were looking to get some catch cans or an AOS system for your car. I will have a link in the description of the one that I bought, and the instruction PDF file is in that on that page on their website as well. We'll see how it does. Maybe I'll do like an update video here in like a couple thousand miles or something. But anyways guys, that's it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon.